Hello everyone, so welcome back to my channel. I'm recording this around 3 times because every time I do it I come up with something new. But these are all the palettes I have. The only ones I had before I started YouTube is the Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics and the Marc Jacobs palette, which the brand doesn't even exist anymore. What we are doing is every few months or whenever I get the chance, whenever I've made decent progress, I will be showing you my most favorite to least favorite. This list may change the more I use them, and I will be trying to hit pan on at least one shade in every single palette. Let's move straight into it. Let's bring you in closer. I'll insert pictures of what this originally looked like. I managed to hit pan on another shade today, which I'm really happy about. Just need to expand those pans now. This is what the palette looks like right now. I've hit pan on this shade and I've hit pan on that shade there. Let's see if I can. So I tend to use that shade just to deepen out the look or just to do a nice smoky. This is in my Panda palette. Oh, I forgot to do my ranking. This is my worst palette. I say worst, but this is the one that I dislike the most. It's just very, very difficult to work with. However, I've come to realise that I can make some nice looks with it. But that being said, if I had another palette with these shades, it would have been so much easier to use. I do really enjoy the powdered shades, but the pomades are just so difficult. But I can get a nice smoky look. I'll insert pictures for you. So that's what I've been doing and it's been okay. But yeah, this is number 12, and if you want to see why it's ranked so low, you can watch my review video. It is out now. But hit pan on 2 shades, very happy. I can't believe I put this in my Panda palette because I should pick a palette that I love, but I can't buy something and not use it. If I see something that I dislike this much, I tend to look for every possible way that I can to love that product. Number 11, and this is fairly new. Well, I've had this since December, but I just started using it over the last week or so, maybe 2 weeks. I can't make this work at all, guys, but I've nearly hit pan on one of the shades. I have given it a fair shot. So that's what it looks like. I don't know if my skin tone is too dark for this. So Peck is meant to be the darkest shade, but when I put this on my eyes, it doesn't translate as dark as I want it to. Like some of the other palettes I have, it just gives me a really nice darker look. I don't know, I just can't get a look to work that I like when I'm using this. I'm going to try to hit pan. I think the most easiest way I can do that is using the new Slip and Slide shade, Flash Over, because I have used that a fair bit. But I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. We're going to try to use it. Mellow probably be quite easy for me to use because I use that to set my eyelids. But then I've got Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics. This is in my Panda palette as well. If I'm trying to set a look, I tend to reach for that because I'm trying to get rid of it. Don't know. I look at it and I don't... Do you know what? Guys, can you see him? He just wants constant hugs. But anyway, I don't know what the issue is. Natasha Denona, a lot of people always have positives to say about her palettes, and I don't know if I'm in love with the concept of Natasha Denona just because I hear so many great things about it, and not a lot of people really want to voice out the potentially negative side of it. I don't know if this palette is just not made for me or if I'm not understanding the concept of it, but it just does not work for me. But some of the shades I do really like. That shade is lovely. And then Fancy and Anne just look very similar. I guess Fancy would be more suited for an inner corner highlight. I don't know. This palette I had so many expectations and I just got let down horribly. Still going to try to make it work somehow, but my video should be out with this soon. I just need to do a wear test. The shades, I've seen other YouTubers use it, and on them the shades look so much more deeper, but I can't really get that depth. All the looks I do just look practically the same. Number 11 out of 12 at the moment. That these rankings can change the more I use something. I might fall in love with something or I might start disliking it. But that's what it looks like at the moment. Moving on. And you'll see that I've still got a lot of the boxes, the original boxes it comes in. I don't know if that's some childhood trauma, just because we didn't grow up with a lot. And now that I do have stuff, I can't get rid of the packaging for some weird reason. I was saying I'm not going to swatch stuff, and now I've started swatching. This is the Natasha Denona Mini Love Palette. I got this from the Cult Beauty Advent Calendar. This goes in number 10. I like the shades. Shall I bring you in? So I like the shades there, but for some reason I don't see myself grabbing it or gravitating towards it compared to some of the other shades that I have. But they are nice and they are quite easy to use. I'm going to really struggle hitting pan on these just because I've got the Nessa Myrick that I'm trying to, that's my pan that palette. If I'm going for any pinkish kind of looks, I'm going to naturally pick this up. But if I do hit pan on anything, it'll probably be this shade here. But we'll see what happens as the year progresses. I've got 13 palettes now that I need to consider. I found my Natasha Denona palette. It fell behind one of my makeup drawers. I like that this is a blue eyeshadow, but I've not had the chance to play with it near as much as I would want to, just because I didn't lose it. I do like quite a few of the shades. I don't think I'll get a lot of use out of these two, but those three do call for me, and because they're the only blue I have, probably will end up using a decent amount. So I think if I hit pan on any of three of those, it'll be good. But that's number 10 out of 13. And that's what it looks like in the beginning of the year. And the reason why I'm doing just panning one shade in each palette is because I don't really want to do no pan left behind, because as long as I get wear per use, I want to still enjoy the makeup I have, and I don't get the chance to do makeup every day or as often as I would want to. I don't want to open a palette and get forced to use up a day that I can do makeup on a shade that I'm not gravitating towards. I still want to enjoy my makeup. This is a Marc Jacobs palette. This is quite old. My daughter did manage to get into it. So this is Fantasine. I got this a few years ago when I was finishing my pre-registration year. This is what it looks like at the moment. I don't know if I'll get much use out of this at all. If I do hit pan on it, it might be on that shade there, which is the shade here. But this goes in my number, this is number 9 out of 10. Just because the colours do blend out really well, but I feel like a lot of the shades in here are too light for my skin tone. So if I just swatch some, these two shades there, one of the shades you can't even see on there. So it takes a lot to build those shades up. So I don't know, I think I just made the wrong mistake picking the wrong palette. But those two shades are really nice. They help deepen the look out. I don't know, I'll try to use it. We'll see how I feel. And as I said before, the rankings might change the more I use the palette. A lot of these palettes have not been well used or loved. Number 8, I have the Empowered palette by Huda Beauty. Look at the packaging. The packaging is just beautiful. That's what it looks like at the moment. What I like about this palette is, so the purple shade and the amount of times that palette's fallen. The purple shade and the Worthy shade, I like them. And it's a nice base to really smoke out a look. Very nice and very effortless to use. What I don't like, and I thought I really would, is these shades here. When I'm wearing them, I just look very orange. I don't know why. I love the Manifested shade. I love all the glitters in here. I love that whole row there. It makes such a beautiful look. I'm quite shocked that I'm more gravitating more towards this side than I am to that side. But just because of those shades there, I just don't gravitate towards this palette. But yeah, this is our number 8. And then I'm just going to insert a picture of the Beautyverse here. So I've got the Beautyverse as number 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. So Beautyverse is at number 7. I've got it at number 7. It's just because it's very easy for me to use the top few shades and get a nice like pinky look. I like the shimmers in it. But nearly all the looks I do just look the same. So that's why I've put it at number 7. I don't feel like it's that diverse. And then number 6, I've got the Urban Decay Naked Ultimate palette. This is what it looks like at the moment. I am doing my pan this palette. I'm not hoping to pan all the shades in here, but I would like to pan those 7 shades. The issue I'm having with this palette at the moment is because it's an all matte palette, matte shades are a lot harder to pan. I've made good progress with this shade and this shade here, and to be fair, even this shade here, but the rest of them I'm not getting far with it at all. I don't like the 5 shades that I've mentioned. I don't think they're my everyday shades, and I don't think I'll get much use out of them. But everything else in this palette is quite user friendly for me. So I like to set my eye with that one there. I like that as a highlight shade. I like these as a crease shade. I like these two just to tidy up any look. And then I like this as an all over my lid just to make it a bit smoky. It's a very easy palette. They blend out nicely. It does everything I need it to. So this is at number 6. This might get flipped around. I rank this slightly higher at the moment because it blends out a lot easier. And I have enjoyed it, but sometimes when I use it, it can look quite ashy on me, whereas I don't get the same issue with this palette here. They look quite similar though. I do like it. Natasha Denona's Mini Sculpt palette just ranks ever so slightly higher than this one. But I don't think I'll get much use out of this at the moment, just because I am trying to pan loads of shades in an inner all matte palette. A part of me wanted to put this and pan that palette, but because I've had this longer, I really just need to leave. But I can't get myself to get rid of it until I've actually used it a decent amount. So I'll see how I get on with it. I might just use it as much as I can, hit pan on those 7 shades, and then just get rid of the whole palette. Or I might just try to finish it, but I don't know what I was thinking to do. My first ever project pan and an all matte palette. I don't know, I'm questioning my life choices. But 7 shades I want to hit pan on that one, and just 1 shade on this. Which I don't even know if I'll hit 1 shade, just because I've got the other palette to focus on. And if I'm reaching for any shades like this, I'd rather go to that one. I'm on my top 4 now. I put plastic palette, and all of these are quite new. The plastic palette goes in my top 4 purely because of the pink shades. I like that this is the only palette that I have that has some pinky shades. I like that you can do neutral looks with it. I like that you can have the pinks. I love Self-Made. What I don't like is some of the colours look different in the pan, but when I put them on my eyes, they turn into a different colour. It doesn't give me the look that I envision. But if I am to reach for a pink shade or anything like that, this is easy to go. If I'm going anywhere, it'll be nice to add a pop of colour. I can do a nice smoky deep look. I can do a neutral look. It is nice. I like that it's smaller compared to some of the other palettes that they do. The texture of the glittery shades, it just feels like cushion. It's just so nice and soft. I think what I'll manage to hit pan on is maybe Faux. I'm thinking Faux. I know definitely not the blue shade. I'm probably not going to use that at all. But it is a good palette. But that ranks number 4. We're going to try to hit pan on the Faux shade. Number 3. So initially when I got this palette, when I opened it, I felt uninspired, and to a certain extent even now I do. Those 3 shades on the eyelid, they kind of blend into 1 shade. You can't really see much of a difference. I like all the other shades quite a lot, but for some reason my Dixie and my Stargirl are starting to form a film on top of it. They've become quite difficult to use. What I think I'll hit pan on this year is this shade here, Brink. Can you see that? And to be fair, even Dixie, I've used a fair bit of Dixie. I don't think I'll manage to hit pan on any of the other matte shades. Dixie and Brink I might hit pan on. I love Stargirl as well. My ranking might change on this palette because I'm thinking if I get an indie brand that has purple eyeshadows, I'll probably enjoy it a lot more, because this palette leaves me wanting more. The Jacaranda is just not as bright as I want it to be, and I can't make it any brighter as well. So that's what I'm really struggling with. And if I want to deepen it out, that just makes it look more dull, not bright. But I don't know. But for some reason, I do want to use it and I want to do eye looks with it. So we'll see how we get on. But yeah, I think I could potentially hit pan on 2 shades. And then number 2 is another very new palette. That's what this palette looks like at the moment. I think the red shades I don't think I'll use, because if I want a red, I'll go to the Lethal Dexter collection, because those reds are just beautiful. I think I'll hit pan on Wolfpack. That's the shade that I think I'll hit pan on. Even Senior Year, because I don't quite have anything like Senior Year. I did really enjoy using that shade. Alice, I want to really like Alice, but I really can't. I don't know, we'll see how we feel. I still need to play around with this palette a lot more. But I think the 2 shades I could potentially hit pan on is Wolfpack and senior year. Why is it on my number 2? I can do an all neutral look with a bit of spark. It's got everything I need in it. It's got a nice inner highlight, inner corner highlight. It's got a nice all over base. I've got a nice crease colour. If I want something a bit more with a punch, a bit different, I can do that. I can get a variety of looks. It's like my all over neutral playful palette. So that's why it's at number 2. My number 1 palette out of the 13 I have is the Dexter Lethal Cosmetics. I do not like the packaging. I don't think it looks nice. A lot of people are saying that it looks just like the slide box and stuff. I don't see the resemblance as much as they do. I can see the gist of it, but the formulation is beautiful. I've actually hit pan on one of the shades already, which is the shade here, Rita. Don't know if you can see it, but it's just right there. Got the smallest pan, but anyway, the glitter shades in here are quite chunky, which is the only issue. I don't really tend to mind it. Why I like this and why it's my favourites is because I cannot get greys to work for me at all. And when I wore this, the look I made with the greys, it was just beautiful. I'll insert a picture of my wear test, the look I used for my wear test, and it was one of my favourite shades. I like the black. It just feels like Deborah. It just feels so nice. I like the contrast. I feel so inspired when I look at this palette. So I actually think I could potentially hit pan on quite a lot of the glitter shades because they just, I feel like you blink and they're gone. So that's the only issue I have. That is too easy to hit pan on. I don't know what the matte shades will be like. I think maybe I'll hit pan on one of the red mattes as well, just because I've got no other reds in my collection. I'm going to that theory, probably the greys as well, because I've got no other greys. So if I do want to use any of these shades, this is the only palette I have to lean on. The formulation is amazing. Held up great in the wear test. It blends beautifully. The shimmer shades are just so good. But that's where I'm at the moment. I just have a few questions. If I get more palettes, do you want me to add them into my ranking? Whenever I do update you on what I've hit pan on, what I've used, what I've not used. Do you want pictures of looks that I've done with them as well as I go along? And do you want me to keep it to these 13 palettes, or whenever I get a new palette, do you want me to just add that in? Because the rankings are going to change every time I do an update video because of use and experience and wear and all of those factors come into it. But yeah, let me know. I hope this video is okay because I don't know what it was. It's just something wasn't clicking no matter how many times I recorded. But thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe and follow for more. Bye.